discussed, as I mentioned this morning, the U.S. Relationship. We had a great meeting with Ambassador McNaughton. Then after I spoke with you last, we continue to talk about how we can strengthen our trading relationship with our U.S. partner. We also discuss opportunities for us to collaborate together on diversifying our markets, and we discussed internal trade. Comme vous le savez, le commerce avec les États-Unis, c'est très important pour l'économie canadienne.
We talked about the need to talk more with Americans about the importance to the American economy to continue trade with us in Canada.
I continue to discuss after Ambassador McNaughton's presentation was the need for us to start to do everything we can to talk to grassroots Americans, as one person put it. So we were discussing on how we could accomplish that, and we came up with, I guess, a term that we'll use and coin for this approach. We want to now push a Fox News approach. And the idea there is that instead of going to speak to the New York Times, we need to start to go on news outlets that maybe don't agree that trade with Canada is important. We need to not just go to Washington to meet decision makers. We also need to go meet Americans to convince them of everything that is important to their economy when it comes to trade with Canada. So there was definitely a long discussion about how we could work together to shift our approach to ensure that we go to the base of those that may have ill feelings towards trade in free trade in general, and of course trade with Canada. And we're going to work together with the embassy and of course our federal counterparts to come up with ways in which we can ensure that we're getting our message across to more Americans, and specifically to Americans that may have ill feelings toward free trade. Alors, nous allons travailler ensemble pour essayer de changer notre approche.
Together to try to change our approach a little. We'll speak to those, not just to speak to those who agree with us. Trade between the U.S. and Canada is important for our economies, but also to speak with those, or speak more, I should say, with those who don't agree that we should have free trade agreements with the United States. So we will continue to work together to see how we can approach this to accomplish that.
We're still going to do everything we can to make sure decision makers and influencers realize the importance of trade with the U.S. We are going to have an advocacy effort collectively come February in Washington, when the governors of the United States will be meeting for their national meeting. Of course, it's important to communicate with them, so it certainly won't be either or in terms of our approaches. We'll certainly do the grassroots Fox News approach, as well as talk to key decision makers and influencers. De plus, nous avons parlé de comment nous pouvons collaborer pour ouvrir d'autres marchés.
How we can collaborate to open new markets and export to other countries around the world. So we work together, and we will continue to work together in the coming months to try and open other opportunities for export to other countries. Obviously, we talked about the need to do all we can to diversify in terms of infrastructure, or the infrastructure we need for that.
Opportunities that CETA, the CPTPP, represent for the diversification we want to see when it comes to our exports. We also talked about how we are going to do everything we can to communicate with each other internally as a country, to give each other intel on what is being said in the U.S. and collaborate more when we are going abroad looking for new customers and to increase our exports in different markets. We agreed to ask for a First Minister's meeting on the economy, given all of the things that we discussed when it comes to trade, including our relationship with the U.S., including the need for our country to diversify our markets, and including internal trade. We believe that having all the premiers and the Prime Minister together to discuss the Canadian economy by the end of this calendar year would be in the best interest of our economy, our future economic prosperity, and the quality of life of Canadian families. De plus, nous avons parlé de comment c'est important.
We talked about how important it is to have a solid environment, efficient transportation, a strengthened environment and a new and diversified market, the importance of the job market, to have those underrepresented groups in our economy to have a chance to get the skills they need to be able to help us build a stronger country. We've also talked about the mobility of goods in the country and increase opportunities for Canadians.
Together as a country to have robust and predictable regulatory environments, efficient transportation systems, a reputable environment track record, and as mentioned, a focus on accessing new and diverse markets, whether it be through infrastructure, investments, and other types of initiatives. We talked about the importance of having an inclusive labor market, making sure that underrepresented groups are able to obtain the job skills training that they need to be able to access the workforce and help us strengthen our workforce and ultimately our economy. And we talked about the importance of labor mobility, which will help benefit all regions and all Canadians, ensuring a strong economy for all.